Crystal Walters podcast. Today I have a special guest, Evita Miller.
Hi.
I'm so grateful that you could join us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be part of this.
Oh yes, me too. Thank you. So let's get started. So will you share what you are currently doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually met as top tier TCs, and I am shifting from that a little bit. So still working around the same types of people, same groups. So a lot of entrepreneurs, investors, TCs, they're my people. But right now I am actually more focused on lending into my strengths, or leaning rather. And so that comes with empathy, communication, and just showing up authentically. And so my focus right now is helping entrepreneurs that want to show up online or network for their business and just want to do it in a way that feels more aligned. A lot of times we're doing things and it feels icky or salesy, or you're like, I feel like I should do this and it just doesn't feel right. And so really just helping people to find their own path and what's going to be true to them so that they can put out their message for their business.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how did you find out what your strengths were?
Oh man, we're still figuring it out. I think, there's different tests out there, right? Like Clifton Strengths. I've actually done another one that's called PI, so it's Predictive Index. It's similar to Clifton Strengths for those of you who are familiar with it, but it is a little different because it focuses more on, obviously in the name it has predictive, but it's more of looking at your predictive behaviors.
Gotcha.
And so based on your personality of the behaviors that are going to show up, or how you can leverage that in spaces that you're working with people and yourself and things like that. And so I think there's been some exploration there of diving into learning myself through some of those options of assessment stuff. Sometimes you're like, I don't know, and then you read something like that and you're going, holy cow, that's me. Like, yes, I am all of these things. And so, yeah, so some of it's been assessments or things like that. Some of it's just been, obviously the groups we're around. There's a lot of discussion around mindset and awareness and understanding yourself. And so I think just being open to letting my mind kind of figure out like what feels right to me or what's not. And kind of recognizing the difference too between like I can do something and like no, this is a strength, because there's things like I can do it, but it doesn't necessarily feel natural, or it might zap my energy. And so for me, a lot of times that's going to be things that are around relationships come really easily. So stuff like this is just fun to me. Like I just want to talk to people and hang out. Everybody that knows me knows that I chat a lot. But yeah, so leaning into like empathy, communication, relationship building. I do have some parts of me that are a little bit executor, definitely analytical as well. So I'm very thoughtful. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to want to understand like, why does this work? How does this work? And so, yeah, I feel like I'm just figuring that out of the combination of just testing things out, and it's trial and error a lot of times too.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like definitely trying things out and figuring out what's best for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
what was the most shocking that you got when you did your strengths?
I don't know that any of them were necessarily super shocking. My top 5, if anything, I don't know if shocking is the word, but there was a couple that I was kind of more of like, okay, what does that mean? like I'm not upset, I just don't understand what this is. Like empathy, I saw it and was like 100% that's me. If anything, that's where this has been really liberating too, to find something that I can apply this to, and supporting others and just how they're feeling in the journey, and that offering that guidance and support. Because I feel like so often we hear like, this is business, and like leave the emotions out of it. But I honestly think in business and as entrepreneurs, you're on this journey and you are the business. And so I think it can evoke a lot of emotions in you. It can be stressful or frustrating or lonely, but it can also be really exciting, or, it can have all these things that it doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad, but it is an emotional ride. And so it's nice to be able to lean into that. But I think seeing like developer was one that was kind of like, so am I making things? Like what does that mean? And arranger was another one that came up. And so after looking into it a little more and understanding it, developer, it's more of developing others, developing people. And so that makes sense too, where I have the relationships, and then, obviously like things that I'm doing now, I'm looking at launching a 4-week small group. And so with that, it makes sense because I'm like, I care more about the person. Let's help you grow. Let's uplift you and work on that, as opposed to building a system and doing all this stuff. I can do it, but it's not something I'm passionate about. So those were a couple that kind of were interesting, we'll say.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and being able to determine what those words mean to you specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think they definitely, I mean, we were talking the other day, Katie Langford is amazing, and she is running a group called Trailblazers, and it's empowering women in real estate, but honestly just empowering women in business all over. And with that, I'm in a small group coaching program with her, and part of that, we're diving into our Clifton strengths, and she talks about how your strengths, when you look at that specific combination, so not just that they narrow down to like being able to kind of label some of these categories that come up frequently, you are 1 in 11 million. Like when you see your combo, it's like other people might have communication, some of these other things, but like you're 1 in a million. And then of course when you think just life in general, the odds. And so it's kind of a nice reminder of like your strengths are unique, you know, like you're special, and remember that.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So much learning. I love it.
Oh my gosh, yes, always learning.
It's important. So
Absolutely.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
What got you into entrepreneurship?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think I've always had entrepreneur tendencies. I think I didn't, I don't know that I sought out to like, I'm gonna go be an entrepreneur, and specifically, obviously, I kind of really took the leap with the TC role initially, but it was the same thing. I'm like, I don't know what a TC was. I wasn't like, ooh, like somebody sets out to be a doctor. It wasn't this path of I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna do this, but I think I've always been the person that's like, had these crazy ideas, you know. When I was younger, I'm like, oh, could I sell this? Could I do this? And so I was in restaurants for quite a while, and I think with that there came this level of like, I don't want to do this forever, but I enjoy aspects of it, and I liked the flexibility of that realm, you know. Like things, I always used to joke, I'm like, I love and hate all the same things. My schedule is never a 9 to 5, which sometimes can be problematic when you're trying to plan, I'm going to say normal life things, or meet up with family that has weekends off or whatever. But at the same point, it was great because I could also just have like a random Tuesday off, or, you know, work. Some days you work 12 hours, some days you worked like 5 and you felt like you got a half day, you know. And so I think some of those things already, I was kind of used to a fluctuation in my schedule, income. I had these ideas that maybe were not the average thoughts, you know, like I always wanted more. And so, you know, I had several other ideas that really just didn't go anywhere. I never really kind of put anything into it. And I was at a crossroads and kind of headed out of the job I was at, and saw this TC thing, and it was like I tested it out, and then through that I've kind of just now officially become an entrepreneur, if you will. But yeah, it was more of just seeking a lifestyle that's different, or where I can, you know, like this, level up my mindset and try the bigger things and keep growing and just, you know, build my own life, if you will. So yeah, that's how I ended up in it.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Did you feel supported by your friends or family when you were deciding to go that route?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know people have varying levels of support when they go through that. I would say my family was very supportive. I will say, you know, within your family, like not everybody, I would say, understood it. They didn't really get what I was doing, or, you know, why I would leave my job for this, or like, I still think to this day, like most of them probably don't really know what I do, you know, like, especially on like a day-to-day basis, you know, it's kind of like, we know you do this, you know, real estate thing, or you work at home or whatever. I think that's more of it. It's more of a blanket, oh, she works from home now or whatever. And I think if anything, in the beginning, it was maybe they were supportive, but a little iffy, you know. Occasionally there'd be questions like, so how are you going to do this? And so what is this? And, you know, it was, but I think it came from a good place. And so I feel pretty blessed in that, because I know for a lot of people, you know, there may be, just to start with, maybe they're not super close to their family or friends. Maybe they don't have a lot of people in their corner just in general. And then to do something like this that's maybe outside of the norm, it can be really tough and it can be really lonely. And so I definitely feel for people that are going through that, because I have been pretty, I've just been really grateful to have that on my end.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Thanks. Well, good. Yeah, like I know that family can be challenging. Like if they don't understand, like that detracts from so much. So like you can't share as much with them as you'd want to.
Yeah.
But having someone that they at least listen and are open.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's varying levels in my family, or like even like friends, where honestly at this point, like the friends are quality over quantity. So, and especially I think that's a huge thing too as you go through this, when you talk about support. I mean, I flipped everything upside down. I mean, the areas I was hanging out in, the people I was hanging out with, there's nothing wrong with them. They're super nice people. It was great. It was fun. But switching into this realm and changing my mindset and changing where I was headed meant at this point I'm hanging around totally different people. And so even if it wasn't friends before, now I feel grateful that I stuck with it long enough that I went from literally knowing no one and walking into events and just feeling terrified, and all the anxiety is hitting, to then I knew like one familiar face. And not even that we were friends, but just, I think I've seen that person before. And then to now go, I've got a community of people that, whether they're acquaintances or people I talk to every day, the support's there to where I don't feel as much like, you can kind of create your own support, I feel like. So, yeah.
That's very true. Community is key.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So what is something in your journey that you feel is a powerful lesson you've learned?
Oh, man. I think the biggest thing I could say is just to learn to trust your instincts. I think trusting your instincts is massive. I think it's something that at points in my life I've gotten a little away from, and I think trusting that and being in tune with recognizing, I've talked to people about this before, but that fine line of there's this constant, not even a battle, but you're going to kind of feel that pull of recognizing, okay, is something causing tension because it is difficult, or maybe it's new and I just haven't been here before, or is this something that's causing tension because this is not right for me? This is not in alignment. Maybe it challenges your core values. Maybe it's just not, you can kind of tell it's not the right thing. And so I think trusting that and leaning into it and constantly checking in with that has been really helpful to sometimes go, whether the data's there or not, you're going to know sometimes. And I think that paired with just honestly resiliency of just like keep showing up and just trust the process. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I was just talking with Daniela yesterday, and I don't know if anybody's seen these posts or if you've seen it, but she saw it with another like kind of adjacent message, but essentially talking about consistency. And it was like a graph, and basically, consistency can be 80% today, 50% tomorrow, 90% the next day, 10%, that it doesn't have to be 100% all day, every day. And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in this idea that like to be disciplined or consistent means that you have to be on all the time and that there's no breaks and like you can't show weakness and you got to be doing all the things full throttle all the time. And I think the reality is like, no, like the reason I'm even still sitting here with you today after, almost 2 years now is because you just show up as you can. And some days that, it's going to look differently. Some days you're fired up and you're working 14 hours and it doesn't even feel like it and you're having a blast. And other days that looks like getting the meetings you need to done and just like eating some ice cream and calling it a day because you're like, I don't know where I'm at, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and then you just get up the next day and try again. Or later that day, maybe you feel a little better and you try just one thing and call one person or text them or do your outreach or whatever. But I think just having that resiliency to go like, this will work no matter what. Like I told myself in the beginning, I was like, I don't know if I'll be a TC forever, but I don't see a way that this path does not work. It doesn't. It's going to work. And I feel like just remembering that, you'll go far.
Very much so.
Yeah.
That is so important because it's like knowing that your days won't be the same, like whether it's like what you're doing or if it's like your energy level, like it will not be the same, but knowing that you have that resilience and you have that commitment.
Absolutely. And I think accepting that, like, to your point, no, especially in entrepreneurship, even in your regular job, things are going to come up. Like, no one day is going to be the same. And I think just understanding that there's going to be these ebbs and flows as you go, and these changes, and, you know, whether it's emotions or physical changes in your business or financial, you know, there's so many areas that things can waver. And I think just even expecting that, to where when it hits, like, maybe it just doesn't hit as hard, you know, or like I would tell myself some days, like, I'd kind of feel in a rut, if you will. And I just knew, I was like, no, we've been here before. It gets better. I don't know if it'll be a couple hours. I don't know if it'll be a couple days. It might even be a few months, but I know we've been here before. It will get better. All it takes is then that one idea or one connection, something that's going to pivot it, and you're going to be right back in the game. And so I think having that kind of awareness and understanding as well can be really helpful as you go through this, because then, you know, you're expecting the unexpected, I guess.
True. Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Do you have a power word that you use? Whether it's in a year or...
I don't know that I have one that's consistent, like, long term. I have, in the last year or two, people have been saying, like, pick a word for the year. For me this year, that word has been refine or refinement, because I felt that last year was a lot of growth and a lot of change, or the last year or two roughly. And so it was one of those, I was hitting a point where I'm going, okay, we know enough people, we're starting to learn enough about ourselves, we're learning a decent amount of, like, the foundational things. It's kind of like, you've got enough irons in the fire, how do we sharpen them now? You know, and so to me, refinement felt good, of going, not even just business-wise, but personally, okay, how can we close in on this a little bit and just leverage what we've already got? You know, we've got the mentorships, we're working on the mindset, we've, like I said, got the connections, and so it's like, okay, there's plenty to work with here, now let's make it work. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I've got.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you have a word that you go off of, or a mantra?
Diligence. I like diligence.
Diligence. Okay. Where does that come from, or what does diligence mean to you?
To me, it's being able to just consistently show up. So, like, just diligently doing the work that I know I need to do to
Okay.
be able to see the success that I want.
I love that. That's an excellent word. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. So, I know you briefly mentioned a few mentors that you have.
Mm-hmm.
How many mentors have you used, and how have they helped you into become who you are now?
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I think I've had different people that I look up to over the years. I think in recent times, just by diving into real estate, or, you know, these different communities, it became more common to, like, have a mentor. But I would say I have varying levels of that. And by that I mean, sometimes, you know, obviously getting into the TC stuff, we had people that led us in our training or guided us through different situations. And so some of them are more formal in that sense. Right now, I've been really enjoying the coaching program I'm doing with Katie Langford. And so I would definitely consider her a leader and a mentor to me, as to, you know, she's been in entrepreneurship for many years at this point, and she understands what it's like to, you know, try some things and fail and have to pivot. And I really appreciate her approach of not only empowering, but I like that she looks at you as the person, and how that can help you and your business and your dreams and your goals from a bigger standpoint as well. Because I think you can join things to learn the skills and whatnot, but sometimes when there's that gap where you're kind of like, I learned, I think I got it, but, like, something's off and I don't know where to go. And so I think that's really important to look into. And so she's definitely one at the moment. I think obviously, I mean, I started in this community, so Pace Morby's done an incredible amount. And I think recognizing that he really is just a person, and it's kind of, I say that not to downgrade anything he's doing, but I think it makes it more attainable, you know, like seeing him and you're going, he has the same hours in the day as we do, and he is figuring it out as he goes, and you're just seeing the compound effect of looking into himself and trying things for years and years and years, and wanting to support and build a community, which now he's been able to bring to fruition, and now he's looking at different things. And so that's definitely one that was a big start in this. But I think also, you know, we reference, like, having your board of directors, you know, and so I think that has kind of fluctuated in my journey, where I think there's consistently been, I'd say maybe 3 to 5 people, probably closer to 3 to 4, that as I go, it's you're like, who are you going to go to on this? And so I think having those levels of like somebody that's really far ahead of you that you can look up to, but then also having people in your corner that are maybe on the same path or just a few steps ahead, that like you could quite literally text them, call them, hey, I have to make this big decision, or I'm feeling this way, and being able to hear them out and have them, you can kind of guide each other in that sense. So yeah, I think mentor can have different meanings, and for that, for me, that's what it kind of represents.
Yeah, it's that support
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
relatability for sure.
Yeah, I think relatability, I think it's the accountability. I've had
Yes.
different people that, mentoring me and guiding me of not only just how to do something, but hey, these are the things that need to happen. Or I'm hearing you say this, hey, you gotta push through, tough it out, or like, no, that was a big moment, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace. And so I think having that soundboard or that third party to come in and kind of help you through these different moments that you're going to go through is really, really important, because it's very tough to do on your own.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have there been moments where you've done it on your own and you didn't reach out?
Oh, absolutely.
How did that
Yeah. Well, you get through it, right? I think that's a huge thing too, is I've also had moments where I've had now people that I would call friends go, why didn't you tell me this? What in the world? Why? You should have told me this last week, or you should have told me, like, I didn't even know that was happening. And so I think that's just an honest look at yourself too, and it's a good indicator of the people you're around too, because I think it's also really easy to, and potentially this is just where I'm coming from, and I don't know if others will feel this way, but sometimes you there's a level of like, I don't want to bug you. Oh, they're probably super busy, I don't want to, or you're like, I should be able to figure this out on my own. It's not that big of a deal. Or, you can kind of have these thoughts where it's like, or for me, it was kind of escalation process. I don't want to bug you for everything. Okay, maybe do I need to? It's probably fine. Or let me figure this out a little bit further, and then I'll rope in your opinion. And so I will say that's definitely an area that I've grown, where I feel a lot more comfortable, probably too comfortable sometimes, but a lot more comfortable of just like, who can I reach out to? What can I reach out to them about? And for most of my friends now, I think it's probably just about anything, and I've had, I've been lucky enough, Kimmy and me connected early on, and we message every single day, like every day, all the things, all the time. And that has been so helpful and everything, because it's not just what you're working on. Like, life happens sometimes. And so even hearing like, oh gosh, people are in town, and we didn't get to this, and I had all these plans to do that, it's like, it's okay. Or, hey, here's my goals for the week. Can you make sure I get this done? And just please bug the heck out of me until it's done. Okay, got you. And so we would help each other out through that, and celebrate the wins, and also go through the tough times of like, yeah, that sucks. Okay, do you want a moment to just let that sink in? Do you want to brainstorm? Should we figure out some solutions? Can you try this? Could you talk to this person? And just kind of meeting each other where they're at. And so it's good to have people like that in your corner too. If you don't have a battle buddy, kill them.
Yes, they're important.
Yes.
We need those.
Absolutely.
I love that. The battle buddies, accountability partners, like someone that will support you, and that you can rely on.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes you just, granted, I lead with relationships, so potentially it's maybe not as easy for others, as it felt at points for me, but I also think it didn't happen overnight, but when I say like your intuition, like Kimmy was one of those people, we were literally like, I think we should be friends, and it was just one of those, I don't know, I think I would get along with you, let's chat, and then we just didn't stop chatting, and I have multiple people in my life that are like that, where you just kind of click, and you're not going to click with everybody, but I think putting yourself out there and being willing to face that, hey, there might be some rejection here, it might not work, but all it takes, I know people say this, but it's so true, is like all it takes is that one person or one conversation, and it's like, that could be your next business partner, that could be your next lender, that could be whatever, your next social media manager, I don't know, your next coach, mentor, and you truly just don't know, but as long as you keep putting yourself out there, and even opportunities like this, hopefully we might meet some of you one day as you're watching this, and it's like, hey, we're gonna feel like we kind of know each other from this. And so I think just looking at different ways to lean into your own strengths, and how can you find people or find somebody that's gonna fit well with you, because who I get along with, you might meet them and go, absolutely not, this is not my person. Like, thanks but no thanks. But yeah, I think it's important to just keep trying until, you know, you don't need a million people, but maybe at least find one person you can go to.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes, absolutely. I am huge on attracting your people. I feel like whether it's in business or just in life, I very much believe in, if you're seeking a certain, you know, friend, partner, business partner, whatever it is, I feel like you can literally attract that by what you do, what you say, how you act. Like, you're gonna find your people, you know. And I think that comes with not only just how you act and things, but environment. Where are you at? Where are you hanging out at? What are you doing? And I think there's a lot you can do to put yourself in proximity to exactly what you want to be and do.
Very
and
true.
so, yeah, I'm very, very big on that.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
So, because you're having so many pivots in your life right now, what is something you would tell someone who's having those same pivots?
I think it's okay to shift. And I think it's okay, I would remind them that it's okay to not know. I think, especially, I have to remind myself we're in this little bubble. It feels like at times where we're surrounded by a lot of high achievers, big thinkers, very successful individuals, and that run companies and have started and built them or sold them or are doing different things, and you know, or they're mentors themselves or coaches. And I think that can be excellent, but I also think, you know, sometimes it can have this illusion that others just have it figured out. But you don't, you know, they say you can't compare your step 1 to somebody else's step 28. And I think that's important to remember, of like, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And if something you feel like you need to quote pivot, I mean, that shift could be as big or small as you can dream up. You know, sometimes it's as simple as like, oh, I just needed to tweak my system, or I just needed to tweak how I say this, or something very minor. I'm going to change the time I wake up by 5 minutes. But other times it's like, hey, maybe you're sitting there going, I started this real estate business and I don't want to do real estate anymore. Okay, what do you want to do? You know, and I think it's okay too, in that shifting period, there's a natural state, and this is, you know, there's I think a graph or flow chart or something of like change in the phases we go through. And it talks about how, like, in the beginning, and I might be butchering this, so for those of you that are familiar, please don't hold me to this, but essentially the idea is like, picture like almost 3 phases. And then the first one, you can be more like that depressed, and it's more that grief. So imagine like whatever that thing was that you were working on that you're now shifting from or leaving, even if you feel like it's the right move, hey, I know that I've now accepted this isn't right for me. It might still feel kind of sad. And so I think knowing that that's going to come, and then somewhere in the middle you have this kind of confused phase where maybe that's where the creativity starts to come out, and you're kind of like, what if I try this, or I might test that, and it's a little iffy, but you're kind of, okay, we're shying away from that sadness a little bit and that grief, and it's kind of like, okay, we're progressing, but I don't really know what that is yet. And then you hit that third phase where it's like, got it, you know. And that's where I feel like that's when you're that excited and I'm fired up and we're doing this, and like that's going to be repetitive. And so I think reminding people that you're not alone, you're right where you need to be, and it's going to be okay. You know, it's okay to not have all the answers, but trust that if you feel like you need to shift, however big or small, go for it. You know, worst case scenario, you go back, you know, or you try something else, and that's okay. Better to at least try it and go off of that feeling and give it a shot than to sit in something that you know is not right for you.
Very true.
Yeah.
Do you have any words of advice for new people becoming entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think, honestly, we were just talking about this the other day, and I will say this, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And there's different definitions of it, like anything, you know? I mean, we were talking about the other day, if I may put you on the spot, but you said you're a very good W-2 worker. You like to be, you know, here's the set list of here's what I'd like done, and you handle it. You tackle that list like nobody else. And I think that's important to remember of, as you're a new entrepreneur, of remembering why did you choose this path? And even if you didn't know you were necessarily selecting entrepreneurship, because some might have sought it out, others might have just, you ended up there, but checking in to go, is this what I want? And why did I start this? And why am I doing this? And recognizing that, successful entrepreneurs, they're successful because it's the right lane for them. But we also equally need people like you to help. You need the big idea person, but you also need the person in the background that's going to follow up on all the tasks. The same way you need the analytical person that's good with numbers to help look at your metrics or help with your finances or whatever. And so I think, as we talked about earlier, I think really just testing and figuring out, who you are. And it's a constant journey. You're not going to learn this overnight. I mean, heck, I sure don't. But I think just learning to check in with yourself and remembering, like, wherever you're at is exactly where you're meant to be. And so you might start as an entrepreneur and decide, I really just want to work my job. Cool. You might want to work a W-2 and start a business and be an entrepreneur. So I think we put these labels on things, but I would almost say take out the labels. Figure out who you are, figure out what you enjoy, and remember to pause and enjoy life along the way. And whatever fulfills you with your passions and brings you joy and happiness, keep going. Follow that path. Yeah. Thank you.
Is it enough? That's exactly what we need to do, and it's being able to identify what we are, and again going back to the strengths of strengths and what.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, I heard a Myron Golden clip one day, and he was like, it's either working for me or working on me. And I think shifts like that along the way too, of, removing some of these labels and putting yourself in a box and just going, okay, was this working on me or was this working for me? Okay, and let's just try to recognize that and use that to make the next move, reflect and make it better the next time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a learning game.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Every day.
Yes, learn so much.
Yes.
So what is it that you would have liked to have been told before you started your entrepreneurship?
That's a great question, and I don't know that anything would come to mind, because quite honestly, people say when you're going through stuff sometimes, like, you just have to do it to understand. And I honestly think, I don't know if good, bad, otherwise, if anyone had told me, I don't know if I would have listened, because I was following, like, here's what I think I need to try, and I'm chasing, my own dreams or versions of how I wanted to create my life. And so I think people, have said, like, working for yourself can be hard, starting a business can be hard, and I think honestly that held me back for a while. And I think I leaned into that a little too much, because now in hindsight I'm going, you could have done it. And so I think I don't know, I guess maybe if there was one thing, it would just be like, start sooner, and that reminder to, like, don't wait, just do it. If you have the thought and you think you can do it, even if you don't know how or why you have this, just do the crazy thing, go for it. I think that would have been helpful, but I also think, like I said, you got to find your own path. So, but yeah, I think that would be one thing of, like, just start now, do it scared, do it nervous, do it not ready, just do it.
I love that. Yeah, it's really just taking that action.
Absolutely. Like, get out of your own way.
Yeah, right? Like, just go. You got
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
I love that. Do you have any final words you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, I think obviously you've heard it a few times in here. I'm really big on making sure people feel included and welcomed, and please know that you are not alone, because I think starting a journey like this can be really lonely sometimes, or even just working from home and things like that. I think that's something we don't always talk about, or knowing that, like we said, not everybody has equal support systems. And so, I think just a friendly reminder that, like, we're here, and even if we don't get to see you in person, hopefully stuff like this helps you to feel a little better and feel more encouraged. I also have 2 YouTube channels that I'm working on to try to reach more people and help more people than I can just on one-on-ones, because let's be real, I'm only one person. And so I would just offer 2 if you're looking for support in some of the starting phases of social media. So how to post on Instagram, or how to figure out, what those people are doing on Canva, things like that. I'm going to be posting more on my own channel, which is just my name, so Evita Miller. But I also have a podcast that's meant to also build community and support new entrepreneurs like yourself, and it's called Cerebral Pundits. We'll put that on a banner below, but me and my friend Casey Bluford host that, and that is our goal, is to support people like you that are new, and all the questions we have and struggles and all the things we're learning, and to just learn together and support each other together. So if you're new, please know you're doing great. Keep going. You have people in your corner, and we support you, and I'm excited to see what you're working on.
For sure. We want to hear everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So subscribe to Evita Miller.
Thanks.
Go to her YouTube channels and her Instagram account.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This has been wonderful. I appreciate you taking time.
Of course. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.